Tay and Todd Washington Football Team Podcast, brought to you by Fansided. This is your co-host Tay and Todd. We have just seen not just seen it, but Ron Rivera's press conference. Him and Martin Mayhew, big press conference for that matter, and I came away very encouraged. And you can tell the sense of urgency finding that guy, that quarterback, as opposed to last year where they were saying, filling out the roster more. So Todd, I'm feeling confident with the presser. Obviously, we got some name change stuff and the dates and all that stuff going on. But Todd, I'm encouraged. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm really encouraged too. I had messaged someone who on Twitter who talk about all the time with quarterbacks and setup. I'm feeling pretty good after that, and after this conversation with the Junkies in the morning. I think it was the Junkies. Between the two of them, it sounded like abundantly clear that that's the number one priority is getting a quarterback, that they'll be very aggressive, that they'll do whatever it takes, that there's a plan A and so on and so forth in place. So as opposed to last year where it was, well, let's try to get Matthew Stafford. That didn't work out, so we'll just go with our fallback plan and don't want to be too aggressive or give up too much capital to get a quarterback. This year it seems to be completely different where they realize, and he didn't really, I know that it's been assumed that veteran is maybe his preferred method, but it didn't sound like he was necessarily leaning that way in the press conference. It sounded like whatever is best. If we get a veteran, okay, we can't really talk about that much, just that they'll do whatever they need to. But then he talked a bit more in depth about getting a rookie and saying, if we draft a rookie, basically saying if we draft him, we're going to play him. Are you going to be patient? So, I felt great coming out of that, knowing that we've been talking about that this whole time. It felt good to hear that reassurance from the head coach and the general manager.
Yeah, it just seems like this year it just fits. Like the demand's not as high, a lot of other distractions going
Higher
on
pick.
with all the pick searching, higher pick. Where's the possibility that, the first quarterback is taken around 8 to 11. So it's a good opportunity this year. I think last year the demand was just really high.
Yeah, it was.
And they got some key players this past draft with Cosme as you're starting to look in the right tackle. You got Bates who can fill in, and some people think he'll take that next step next year with a quarterback. Gibson showed a lot. 1,000 yards, and McKissick and the O-line was ranked third in efficiency from what I saw. So you're starting to see this team kind of build itself. Obviously, you got a couple more pieces, but you got plenty of cap space this year. I think they're at about 40 so million.
I thought they were closer to 60.
Oh, 60, okay. And then
they still, the Scherff or McLaurin, it'll go down some.
Right. So they're in a good spot this year as opposed to last year where I think they're I think they know, and last year they almost had Stafford, they almost had Jared Goff. So this year the demand is not as high as we mentioned in the last pod, but I'm excited, man. I just think the team's going in the right direction, and they know that this team, the schedule they play next year, as I mentioned, is very appetizing, and it's most of them will all have head coaches if you think of that, and that's an opportunity where they can kind of capitalize on. So I enjoyed the presser, so I'm excited.
Okay, so I've got two questions for you. The first one, Ron Rivera said, if we draft a rookie, are you going to be patient, right? And so I was listening to Grant Danny, and they were kind of saying, well, that's not exactly fair because any patience that's required or any lack of patience that would exist now was created by them holding off on, getting a rookie until year 3, which, they had Dwayne Haskins year 1. That's why they didn't take Herbert or Tua year 2. They had the 19th pick and I guess didn't love Justin Fields or Mac Jones enough to trade up. But the point of, will the fan base and the media and whoever be patient taking a rookie? My thing is, you don't have to wait 3 years now. You play the rookie probably, and you'll be able to tell sooner than later if there's something there, and then from there figure out if there's enough there. But what like if they draft a rookie, then how does that alter your expectations for this next season? Do you expect them to still be able to fight? Like, would your expectations be that they are contending for a wild card spot still, or are you kind of giving Rivera and the rookie and the staff and the whole team a year with the rookie quarterback starting? Like, if they win 7 games next year with a rookie quarterback who looks promising, do you feel okay about that, or is that a letdown because it's still year 3 under Rivera and you still haven't gotten above 500?
I don't think that's possible. I think the way the team is built, that they won't, if they get the right guy in there, I think they're going to take off immediately. Just how the team is built, personally. So I think if they do get a rookie, as long as it's their guy and they do their research, I think the right guy in there is going to push them over 10, maybe 9. I think they will have a winning record next year if they get the guy. So, like you said, year one, you had to see what you got in Dwayne. This is first year coaching. You have to see what you got in Dwayne, and that roster was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really bad, and they still won the division. And they took Tampa to a tough. You got to think they just came out of a mess. So that's why I don't really count these 2 years. I count these 2 years as building. And you don't want to put a rookie quarterback in there at that time, like you had Haskins, and it's just nothing available for him. So I don't think first year you can't. You just have to see what you have in Haskins. Second year, it's like, okay, well, we made the playoffs, so let's see how close we are. If we throw in a stopgap here, let's see if we can build up these other places. And then year 3, you're looking at a Buffalo model where you can get a guy like a Josh Allen somewhere upon there, whoever, and possibly take off. So I think year 3 all along was Ron's plan, and I think they're in a great spot. They have tons of cap space. So to answer that question, I don't think there's going to be I don't think you're going to have to wait. You can say if, but I just don't think that. I think once they get the right guy in the building, I think it's clear for takeoff. I think they won't look back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in my mind,
if they do win 7 games, I would kind of be. It just depends. If he shows upside and then you have a year like this year with injuries, but if you get a quarterback, man, and he's your guy, you're going to the playoffs.
I think I pretty much agree. Like, if they draft the right guy, it won't take much to be better than what they've had the last 2 years, and the roster should be better than it's been the last 2 years. But then obviously there's obviously an unlimited number of variables. But I think if you at the very least, even though it would be year 3 and it would be disappointing, but if you did have a rookie who did look promising, but you were still only managed to win 7 games, but that rookie looked promising, that's not the same to me as just winning 7 games for a third year. But it would still be a bit of a letdown if you did miss the playoffs. Because, I mean, the way you just said it is, if they get the right guy, then that should be pretty much a guarantee. I mean, you got Jalen Hurts taking the Eagles to the playoffs and that sort of thing. So I think I agree with that. My second question is, so, the talk of the town is and will be that this draft class is not strong, so on and so forth. And I firmly believe if Bryce Young was coming out this year, or if Trevor Lawrence came out this year, that with the same quarterbacks behind him, no one would be saying that. If it was just one clear-cut number 1 guy. But basically, the consensus is, these aren't the guys you really trade up for. These aren't the guys you draft in the top 5. But let's say Washington does fall in love with Kenny Pickett or Corral, and I believe if you love a quarterback, you just got to go get him. Don't wait around and see what happens. If they traded up to like 1 or 2, if they gave up multiple ones, like something similar to what the 49ers gave to move up to like number 1 or number 2 to ensure that they got the guy that they loved, how would you feel about that?
I mean, I'll be ecstatic because you're getting the guy that you want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel no type of way. However, I don't think you need to move up that far. But if it's like an RG3 deal and back in whenever it had 2012, let's go for it, because at the end of the day, you're not, if that's your guy, you're not picking in the top 10, the top 15. You're probably in the late teens, 20 from here on out. So
right, exactly, yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I stand on it too. Is if he's your guy, then just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
What like the Rams traded what from 15-1 I think for Goff, and I'm obviously could see how that turned out. I'm not. People will point to that and say, well, look at that, how that turned out. These are different teams, different coaches, different players. Everything's so different. I'm just saying, if he's your guy and you worry about other teams, because maybe a team at 5, the Giants have 5, and they just fire their head coach and their GM. Maybe they love one of those quarterbacks, and it's an easier jump for them. Maybe you're moving up, not even because you don't want another team to get in your spot before you. Because at the end of the day, the price for quarterbacks is always going to be somewhat inflated. It's just a matter of how much. So, yeah, I wouldn't be upset about that either.
Another thing to think about is Lions have the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
You got to think how close they were with that deal last year with Goff with Stafford. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to think that Mayhew's probably like, look, we got good history with them, and they let us down last year, but hey, we can give them everything they need this year to move up to 2. So I wouldn't discount that. I'm looking at that Lions pick is very intriguing for that. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if they're confident, I love it. And this is the best situation. They would be drafting a quarterback that any quarterback has been drafted into in Washington. The other things from his press conference that were kind of interesting, one thing that stuck out to me was Martin Mayhew said, he made it very clear, they offered to make Brandon Scherff the highest paid guard in the NFL last year. Now, what that doesn't mean is that they offered him $18 million a year. They probably didn't offer him that. I don't know. It was probably closer to 15, 16. That would have been the highest paid. And Scherff said, I can make 18 this year, so I'm going to do that. And that's why I didn't take the offer. And, I think I've said it all along, and I'm not, whatever, Scherff, but at that point, I don't really see how paying Scherff 15 or 16 million, making him the highest paid, which to me this year, he didn't do anything to make that number increase, right? Scherff wasn't a bad player, but he wasn't, I wouldn't even necessarily say he was the best player on your offensive line this year.
Well, did he make an All-Pro team? Did they announce All-Pro team yet?
I think they did. I don't think he was on there.
Okay, good.
Right, exactly.
Because if not, that's not going to help our case at all.
Yeah, exactly. I thought they had, yeah. I'll do all pro picks on no, actually, you know what? I don't think they have yet. But I don't see him making the all pro team. I didn't
see him making it last year, but
yeah, it's the namesake in the draft position. Was he the best player on the offensive line this year? Because I'm not sure that he was.
I'll go Leno, Rouye, and then maybe.
Yeah, these guys. Yeah, and guys were getting hurt. That's what makes it hard. But Rouye was
the whole left side.
Cosme was playing well. Flowers. Yeah, at the very least, he wasn't like head and shoulders above the rest. Like they were all on similar levels, and they all played well. So his price definitely hasn't gone up. I don't really see how you can, not how you can, but if you pay Scherff 15 or 16 million, and you re-sign Wes Schweitzer for $4 million a year. I don't think that the significance in production will be as significant as the difference in price. And it seems to me like the team has gone as high as they're willing to go. And the ball is in Scherff. First of all, does that offer still stand? Are they even going to offer him that same number, considering that he didn't have a better year? And now he's older. He's a year older. They're obviously not going to tag him again. So I'm curious to see if he's back. But I thought it sounded like Mayhew was saying, we did what we could do, and that's it. And that's fine with me. The other thing that people were talking about was Ron Rivera talking about Jamin Davis saying that he is an outside linebacker. They were trying him at middle linebacker, but that he really is an outside linebacker. And I guess the idea is really that if you took an outside, in the NFL, in a base 4-3, you've got one middle linebacker, two outside linebackers. But you only play in base 20%, 30% of the time, meaning you really only use one outside linebacker, one middle linebacker, and then you'd have like a Landon Collins or a Cam Curl playing that hybrid role as the third player. And you have Cole Holcomb as an outside linebacker also. He's not a middle linebacker. So you drafted Jamin Davis at a position of need in linebacker, but not middle linebacker. You still don't have, you use the 19th pick on him, but you still don't have a middle linebacker. And maybe he'll be a great outside linebacker, but it kind of seems like he'd have to be a really, really, really good outside linebacker for this team to justify that pick if he can't be your middle linebacker. And I know that's an area of frustration for people, and I get it.
Yeah, that's tough. That's
Because,
really tough.
I mean, you were trying to fill a need, and you did it.
Yeah, the only thing that could supplant that would be him showing enough versatility to kind of be like, obviously not a Micah, but like a Parsons, but
right. But like being able, just do whatever,
just
make plays,
like right, like a KJ Wright kind of like a deal where he can take over for Holcomb. That's the only way that that good comes out of that, because yeah, you're right. You're only in base for not much.
So little. Yeah.
So little. So
that's
going to be. He's going to have to supplant Holcomb in the summer for
that's kind of
for
what
that
I'm
to be
thinking, right?
Yeah.
Because where does he play at that point? You still need a Mike, and then you got him and Holcomb in nickel. And Holcomb is a solid player, but Jamin is your 19th pick.
Yeah.
And I mean, depth is always a good thing to have, but you don't draft first round players for depth. You draft them for.
Jamin's better than. I mean, not
he
right
should be
now.
better. Yeah, like athletically, he's much better.
Yeah. So I could see him taking that spot over next year, but obviously that's not the spot that you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And some people believe you can't still be a middle linebacker down the road, but still, especially when you didn't feel good enough trading up for Fields and Jones, and then again, maybe that was the right decision, but to draft a player who you got, I mean, literally no production from this year, it's tough to improve year over year when your first round picks are not making a big difference. And you look at the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, two of the best players on their team. Or the Bengals, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, the two best players on their team. And then you look at Washington, Chase Young and Jamin Davis, and you got next to nothing from either of them. Mm-hmm. That's tough. They got to fix that. Yeah. The last thing that was interesting from the press conference, and we'll harp on this a little bit, is Rivera making some jokes about names, about not throwing him to the wolves. Mm-hmm. And that was a little something, and then you have to take command, and then that's admirable. Give me your theory, because I know you got a theory.
I just think it's hard to say, because by the way, it's 20 days to the name change. I'm super excited.
Less than 3 weeks.
But I just think it's the Wolves. I really believe it's the Wolves. I think it's the Wolves, but I'm trying not to psych myself up.
Right.
But I'm just going to say they've done a really good job with this.
Yeah, they have.
If Bruce Allen was running the show or whoever, his name would have been Lee. Diana Rossini.
Oh yeah, Diana Rossini definitely would have been reporting the new name for sure, and all the chaos that went into it. Or they would have it would have leaked, and then they would have tried to change it last minute. Absolutely. Yeah.
I just think it's Red Wolves or Wolves.
Yeah.
One of the two. I think they're throwing out little pieces of that are saying that it's it, but it's not a lot to make you think that it's it. But I don't know. I thought it was Commanders. Now I'm kind of dying off of that a little bit. What's funny is each week it gets one name.
Yep.
Pops up. This week is Red Wolves. Next week is the first week it was Commanders.
It was Admirals. Yeah. It's like Red Wolves. It's Hogs. Some.
Right, Hogs some now, and it's
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Let's do this. This will be the last thing we talk about is the name. But let's just say everything we know about these names, information-wise. I have some things written down. Just everything that we know, Tay, that you and I know, everything we've seen on the internet, whatnot, and provide whatever little bit of clarity we can. Okay. So Jason Wright said months and months ago that it was down to 3 finalists, right? We know that unless if there's just some unknown name out there, that those 3 finalists were Commanders, Wolves, and Red Tails. Right? That's what makes sense. You said there were three finalists, and here are the three finalists, right? Okay, so we know that we've seen the logos for all, we've seen the mock-ups for all, and I can't really say everything. Actually, now I think about it, because some things were said in like confidence, but
Hmm.
all right, not we don't have to say everything. Here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say because we thought it was Commanders, that stuff leaked. Red Tails has kind of always been on the back burner for me. It just kind of, you know. Here I'm gonna say why we believe it could still be Wolves, right? Why we feel like there's still a chance. Let's do that, okay? So the criteria for picking a name is fan favorite, connection to the region, connection to the history. Connection to the history would be Hogs. And to this point, we have not heard or seen a single thing indicating Hogs as a potential name from the organization. Anything in focus groups, any mock ups, any names shown to any of the people on making the brand. I mean, nothing. Nothing. That would be completely out the blue. The only thing people have for Hogs is Groundhog Day for the announcement.
Hmm.
So for Wolves, it's a fan favorite. So it meets one qualification. It's a fan favorite. To me, announcing that it won't work early is strange. Is that strange to you, or is it just strange to me? Announcing ahead of
Right.
time that it won't be Wolves.
It's strange.
It's strange, right? You would just say the name and then say, well, this is why it wasn't that.
Hmm.
That's just strange to me. Okay.
And it was
Um,
recorded back in.
right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, and so, all right. WashingtonRedWolves.com is forbidden, which means it is owned, but it's being kept private. So it's not a domain that's available for purchase, and it's not an active website, but it is owned, which would lead you to think that it's a website that exists that is being locked by the host, and maybe it's being built. Um, Red Wolves Twitter handle is because you see Hogs and Commanders and Red Tails were all like created and locked in August 2021. So that was somebody or that was the organization. Red Wolves is owned by someone who's willing to sell that Twitter handle. Sorry, my wife is calling me.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
we have a lot of confidence enough to say that the fight song is going to in some way be retained, but tweaked. But that can only happen with certain names, really with two syllable names.
Hmm.
Um, Trademarking being an issue for an NFL team compared to a small college team, do we really think that that would be an issue, Tay?
Shouldn't be.
I mean, just cut the check, right?
Right.
I mean, that just like you just do it the right way, but in some ways it would make it easier because for one that, but two, the person the squatter owns those trademarks that you need. You can ask him for them, and then you don't have to show up on the US database as having applied for those trademarks. They can just be transferred to you when the time comes. So in some ways that's a cleaner transition than just applying for a trademark straight up or having to do the
Hmm.
roundabout way of doing it like another country or something. This way, you have an agreement in place, and when that moment comes, you just swap it, right? So that
Hmm.
in some ways is cleaner. um, we know for a fact it was one of the final three, but here's my question, Tay. Jason Wright was hired in August of 2020. We know that Wolves was still in a factor in June of 2021. That's 10 months. Dude, they went 10 months working on that name without having come to the conclusion that it couldn't work. You would know much sooner in the process, right? I mean, that just I don't know. Now they said it won't be used. They like that's what Jason Wright said. So, and it doesn't exactly fit where he said the name will represent the region. Like I've never felt that the name represents the region. It's just a cool name and fans
Hmm.
like it.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that's those are the main things I've got. On why I believe that the name still definitely could be Wolves or Red Wolves. And then you got Fred Smoot today. He's got one of the 222 things on, and he's tweeting like, "Hey, keep fighting for Red."
Hmm.
I, and then we see they came up with this blurb for Wolves, which is just very cool. And This is basically like selling the name wolves, I guess. This is the blurb. Wolves are pack animals, relentlessly working together to protect their own and defend their turf. Like football players, they embody the ultimate team mentality, continuously coordinating, competing to survive and thrive in the toughest conditions. A wolf's call is one of unity and ferocity, a proud howl that resonates far and serves as a symbol of how DC's influence reverberates throughout our country. Washington Wolves. Do you get that far doing all this without already knowing that the trademark things won't work?
Yeah.
On top of that, from a business perspective of any name, you know that this one would do the best and have the most immediate strong reaction in terms of sales and merchandise because it's a fan favorite. And I just, and then you also go back to Jason Wright talking about misdirection and red herrings. And so that's why I think there's still a chance, Tay. That's why I think there's still a chance. No one's talking about it. No one believes it. There's a thread on Twitter talking about how the website and the trademarking thing and more in depth. That's I don't think it's over. And I the more I go back and forth so much, but the more time passes, the more I'm like, that's it. It's that. It's do you look at the past or do you look at the future?
So my thing is, do you think they have a name now?
For sure, definitely.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to figure out how they those videos were taken a long time ago.
Yeah, and like, well, you mean the ones with him and Ron Rivera and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to be somewhere between May
Summer.
and July because it was definitely before training camp,
Right.
and it was between May and July for sure. May, June, July.
So were those the final jerseys?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, Tay, because that you got the stars, you got the circle, you got the line. I would wager that no. I would say that those three final names, Red Tails, Wolves, Commanders, that they had what's it, Riddell make the helmets. They had Nike produce a couple jerseys to see it, hold it in your hand, get a feel for it. I think that overall the look, yes, is the same. What we've seen with the numbers and the white and the burgundy and the colors. But I don't think that exact jersey that they recorded was necessarily the final.
Okay. So do you think there's two helmets?
Yeah, because I think the NFL rule changed where you can have two. So I do think there are two helmets.
And three jerseys.
Seems like it. I mean, truthfully, there could be more than three, but yeah, probably three. Home, away, and alternate, I guess.
I'm just curious, man. I'm very
Got us going crazy, dude.
yeah.
And I hate it.
At least they didn't make us wait too long, but it's like it really is long, you know. But
Yeah, and then okay, this isn't a solid theory or anything. It's just something I'm going to say. So they're having the Park and something event. It is called. Let me pull it up.
Park and Play or something.
Was it Park and Play? Park and Party. Park and Party. Park and Party event on Friday following the announcement on Wednesday. Come to FedEx Field, $5 per car, goes to charity. They'll have alumni opportunities. You can see the jerseys, the helmets, DJ, food trucks, all that stuff. Now, we've wondered about how much they would, have fans involved with the announcement because, people are going to hate it no matter what. And a certain number of people are going to hate it. This is a bold move, though, if the name is Admirals. I don't. How many happy fans will come to this event and be happy if the name is like Admirals? I mean, and this is like I said, this is not a strong theory. I'm just saying, you do something like this, and if they do this, and they know already the name is Wolves or Red Wolves, then they know they are going to have a strong turnout of excited fans. Like you'll still have some mad ones. You have a strong turnout of excited fans. You don't know that about Commanders. You don't know that about Red Tails. But Wolves, you do know that about. Like, we're having a party, and we know there are people who want to party when we announce. I'm one of those people, Tay. In the same way that, like, Chris Bryant and the Hog Farmers love Hogs, which makes sense. And he said it. He's like, if it was Hogs, he would cry. I wouldn't necessarily cry if it was Wolves, but that's the only name that would get me excited.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Jason Wright is smart and he knows this.
Right.
And I'm not saying they wouldn't have an event because they're going to start doing these types of events. I'm just saying it would be a bold move to have an event when you're announcing a name where you're not exactly sure how it will be received.
Yeah. I mean, that's a that's a huge move. I just and it's a full moon in that. No, I'm just playing. It's not. I've already looked it up. It's not a full moon on the fourth.
Is it a full moon on the second?
I think it's close to it, yeah. But
Let me look it up.
I think it's a new moon on the second. But
uh,
that's going to be. I just don't know. Yeah, like you said, even Gillette. I
what is
mean, he's
happening?
unreliable and his sort. I don't know
Oh,
who is his source.
I was talking about the Riddell, the company. Oh, you're
No, but I know.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
talking
Okay.
about
My
Gillette.
bad. Okay. Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Junior Gillette.
Junior Gillette. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He seems to think that it's Red Wolves as well, and I don't know who he
Who would be
talks
telling
to.
him?
Yes,
Right.
who would be telling him? But
Right.
Smoot, he said that too. Keep pushing,
Yeah.
and it's like it's kind of hard because the misdirection is so crazy. Because it's like you can
Yeah.
believe it's like people know. Obviously, there's people who know,
Yeah.
but it's hard to get a gauge on who. And I'm sure Roger Goodell wouldn't want this to leak out. Um, I just
I mean,
if it's Red Wolves, um, I'm probably as soon as merchandise goes on sale, I'm probably getting a hoodie, a jersey, and
what if
I
it's
think I'm going all out.
what if it's Red Tails?
Depending on the design, I might go. I still might go. In the jersey, depends on. It
What
really.
about Commanders?
I don't know about that. That's a little tough.
Uh, and this is
Red tails
like,
because I like the three the airplanes. I kind of like
but
that.
see, I think Red Tails is gonna be if it was Red Tails, I think it'd be a bird, right?
It
Would
better
it be an
not be a
airplane?
bird.
But while we're just throwing every possible theory out there, also
If it's admirals, I'm not getting nothing.
if it's
I don't care
admirals,
what.
if it's admirals, I got to take a break. I need to take some time to myself for sure. If it's admiral, it won't. But again, it won't just be a name out the blue. It can't just be a name out the blue. They did focus groups on these three names. You can't, right? You have to focus group the name. Admirals would be out of the blue. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, while we're just throwing out all the possible, connection points, and like I'm not saying I believe these things. We're just saying, how people on Twitter just say whatever. I got sources. This happened. I heard. I have a friend who yada yada. Friend who works at New Era. It's Commanders. A very reliable source says it's Admirals. And then I got one person saying I have a friend who works in the athletic state. He works in an athletic department for a team, and he has friends who work in Arkansas State, and that an agreement has been reached. And then another person who doesn't know that person saying the same thing. And like I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying we're just putting it all out there. Putting it all out there, too. So yeah, I think there's still a chance, but like you asked about the jerseys, are those the final? Because if
But
we're
there's
to
already a
believe,
name, so you think it's what do you mean there's a chance? It's
yeah,
either the
no, no,
name
no,
or
yeah, yeah. But I don't feel confident enough to say for sure.
yeah.
I yeah, I don't.
But that's the best part about it.
Yeah,
Because if you're confident and then it'd be
then yeah.
let down.
Now
But the fact
Jalen
that you're not,
Bleeding B and G is confident. He said he's always thought it was Wolves.
mm,
I wish I had that level of confidence.
yeah,
We need to make our final prediction at some point, though.
yeah.
Maybe like the week before or something. Final prediction on what we believe the name is. The thing about it is, if you predict it to be Wolves or Red Wolves, and then it's not, it's just like they literally told you it wouldn't be. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes you feel stupid. Like, okay, yeah, you're
Exactly.
right. They did
I
say that.
told you.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had exactly. Man, it's okay. Well, all right. 20 more days, like you said,
20 more days.
and then we'll just, then we'll just be talking about the draft or how much we like or dislike the jerseys, or not the jerseys, but how much we dislike like or dislike all of it. and then just straight back to football. But
Do
talking
you think the
about,
jerseys are fire though?
yeah, that's right, that's right. That
Do
and
you
that's
think
what,
they are?
yeah, I think they like are/will be. I think
Yeah,
so. That's another reason why people don't feel confident about Wolves is because like the players didn't sound like excited about the name, but they did about the jerseys. And look, maybe
but they can't
that's
really. They
true. I
can't
mean,
do
that's
that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. And my thing is
You
like,
know.
okay, yeah, were they told not to have
Yeah.
not to because the jerseys is not something you have to really be coy about. Like, no, the jerseys, yeah, they're yeah, but the name you don't want to give any hints, any clues, because if Chase Young came out and said, no, the name is fire, I love the name, then it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
you know what it is.
yeah, exactly, exactly, right,
Exactly.
exactly. So maybe they were told to stay coy no matter what it is.
You think
I
their
just
spouses know, or
Man, probably because I would tell mine.
yeah,
I would
bro.
tell mine. Probably. So that's what we got to do. Well, first of all, I don't think any of them have spouses.
John Allen,
He does.
his wife, yeah, John
His wife,
Allen,
okay. All right. So we just have to find his wife and ask her, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, I
I
just
wonder
wanted
who
to
knows,
get that off
man.
my
Who
chest.
knows?
I also wonder if there's like misdirection going on inside the building too, because like there are absolutely people in that building who would just text somebody.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So are they telling these people it's that, these people it's that, these people it's that, and really only, Jason and the Snyders and like 10 people actually know? You know what I mean? I wonder about that too. Because you can't just have it running throughout the building. I definitely don't think all the players know. No, it would be out. It would be
Oh,
out if
that's true.
60 players knew the name.
I think your core guys know. I think Chase, Allen,
Chase, Allen, and McLaurin.
and McLaurin.
That might be it, unless if they started telling players.
Yeah.
But maybe I mean, if they were told, then they were definitely told to keep it quiet
Yeah.
because you have to keep this. And I mean, did they said they know the name for sure? Did they say they saw the jerseys? And also, did they show
I
them
think Allen
jerseys?
said the name. I think Allen said he said the name. He said something. He mentioned something about the name.
What if they showed them the jerseys but with a different name on it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what levels they're going to stay secret. Because I know if it was me, if I was in charge of this thing, that's what I would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
For one, because to stop it from getting out, but two, then I could start identifying some leaks if I start hearing, oh, it was reported as Commanders. Well, I know I told those people right there it's Commanders, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
trust y'all. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
That's how you do that. I told him it was. I told the I told the cook it was the Admirals, and now he got his boy tweeting it out. Okay, well, you're fired. Where did admirals come from? Where did admirals
I
come
told the cook.
from?
It was,
And here's my thing. I don't really want to go on the guy on Twitter who said admirals and said he knows the name. That's what he's told. I won't. He seems like a perfectly nice guy. And it seems ill intentioned. But he kept saying, you have to understand my source. You have to trust my source. You have to trust my source. We don't know your source. You're not telling us how your source would even know this. Does your source work in the building? Does your source, how would your source even know it for us to even trust you? If you said your source works in the building, okay, maybe people would believe you. So you didn't even say that. You just said, trust my source.
Mhm.
If my pastor told me the name is Admirals, I trust him with my life, but he wouldn't know the name. So yeah, you
Exactly.
can trust him, but he doesn't know the name.
Exactly.
That was weird. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So I just wonder to what levels they are going to keep this thing quiet. Rivera said he doesn't know the name, and why would he have a reason to lie about that?
Yeah.
And if Rivera doesn't know the name, then I don't think any of the players know the name.
I don't think any of the players know the name.
I I just You just can't risk it. You have
You
3 weeks
can't.
left. You can't risk it getting out.
You can't.
And yeah, man,
Yeah, you can't. I think the only people that know are Tanya, Dan, and maybe
Jason, and then like
Goodell.
the people like in code and theory working, like
Right.
working the people who there's a certain number of people who have to know.
Right.
After that, man, I would be sending people the same way we're talking about it right now. I would have the people in that building talking about it. Then you
Hmm.
know what the name is? No, I don't know what the name is.
Hmm. Exactly.
That's just I'm just saying that's what I would do. I wouldn't let it be open information. I wouldn't trust anybody.
Nah, you can't.
So
You
these are the
think?
kind of questions I want to ask Jason after the fact. Like,
Yeah,
how far did you go to keep it quiet? Well, all right. Well, we'll find out. But
because Red Wolves hasn't even been. I mean,
yeah, Red Bulls hasn't. It was in that list of 8 that was shown to those fans on making the brand, but that wasn't like a. I think that was a different kind of list. That wasn't names they were looking at. That was kind of getting a feel for types of things, like and getting
mhm,
reactions for a video. Red Wolves wasn't part of that final 3 that we saw.
mm-mm.
Red Tails, Wolves, and Commanders. Red Wolves wasn't in there. Yeah, man.
I just, I
We got
don't
20
know.
more days to talk about it, and then
Yeah,
and then there's like it's over forever.
I just don't know why he would mention it. You know,
Who?
Jason in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
video.
People say so that he doesn't have to explain it after, so that fans aren't upset when they announce it. But that was everyone's expectation. Everyone's expectation was we're gonna find out what the name is at the same time, whether or not it's what we want.
And why didn't they give the 3 names? That's why I'm trying to. Why didn't?
Yeah, right. Why didn't you say what those final 3 were? I mean, they hinted at it, but they didn't say it. I don't know,
I
man.
think because if they knew, if they said Red Wolves, people would know.
Yeah. All I know is the smartest, best thing you could do to make people think that a name won't be the name is to tell them that name won't be the
Ooh,
name. That's the smartest. That's the best thing you could do, and it
yeah,
is working.
yeah.
So, I don't think it's. I think there's. I think the name is probably going to be one of those two,
Commanders or Red Wolves.
Wolves or Red Wolves.
Wolves or Red Wolves.
Yeah, but I feel like I sound stupid saying that. I don't know. Whatever.
The names that he said they want wasn't going to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. The name, the two he explicitly said will not be it. Oh man, I need these next. All right, 20 days. 20 days. I'll feel differently another day, but all I know is that Hogs and those other ones were never Hogs and Admirals. They were not. They were not one of those final 3, or or they just really. Whatever. That's all I got, Tay. That's all I got. I said everything I got
And
to
I
say.
think another thing is I think they're using the history part of it
Yeah.
as a loop as well. Not in a loop, but
Mm.
trying to distract.
Okay. Okay. You okay?
Because if you think about it, Red Wolves doesn't really have nothing to do with history.
No, it doesn't.
So now people are thinking Hogs.
Exactly, because he
And
said
you got Joe
history.
Gibbs up there, so he's like, all right, maybe misdirection. People think
Yeah,
it's the Hogs. And reality is,
yeah, and so here's the thing about Hogs too. That name specific. I said I was done. You brought this up, so Hogs. Obviously, we know what it represents, and that it would make a ton of sense for this team. And if the name was Hogs, I wouldn't be mad. It makes sense. Like I wouldn't be excited. I wouldn't be mad. It makes sense. But you have to understand, like anyone born really 85 or later, that term really doesn't mean much to us. There are no glory days for us. We were not born yet, and we are not children. We are full grown adults, and
right,
yet there have
right.
still not been any glory days, and the Hogs does not mean anything to us. Hogs means something to really anyone like late 30s up, okay? And as much as their desires and wants need to be respected, so do everyone else's. Like, because again, Hogs means everything to them, Hogs means really nothing to us. So that is a balance that has to be weighed too. The same way we like Wolves and Red Wolves, and you're saying that in no way makes sense, and I respect that, but you have to you like what you like, and there's a reason for it, and we like what we like, and there's a reason for it. We have not known the Redskins to be good. We were not here when the Hogs were a thing. So none of that, it doesn't mean nearly as much to us as it does to people who experienced the glory days. The glory days were 30 years ago, Tate. Okay. So they were there and they gone, and now we're trying to create some new glory days, and maybe we need a new direction for these glory days to have some new glory days. That's
Just think if you're the Hogs and you're trash, like that's just terrible. Like, everybody's gonna laugh like the Dolphins. It's gonna be like the Dolphins again. But if you're trash and you're the Werewolves, you're like, all right, you got some upside. Like,
right,
they're gonna be some.
exactly.
It could be
Exactly right. Like I mean, but at the end of the day, like I still don't want to mess with you, right? Like wolves. Yeah, that's
I could just see
funny.
Lewis Riddick on a Monday night talking about Red Bulls quarterback Kenny Pickett.
I mean, this blurb, man, that they have to come up with these for whatever the name is. Like you have to have a blurb explaining it, right? They said, I can't find it. Man, we're supposed to be done. We're still talking about this daggone name.
Yeah.
A proud howl that resonates far and serves as a symbol of how DC's influence reverberates throughout our country. I mean, they found a way to make it connect. Look, DC and Wolves are two completely different things. They said no,
You
that
think,
howl
and you got to
represents
think,
DC.
and this is my last thing. I know I keep going, but that
Yeah.
how will literally travel everywhere
It
you
will.
go.
It will. It will.
Everywhere you
It
go,
will. Every stadium, you will hear it. You will
you will
hear
hear
that
it.
how. You will hear it on the TV. You will do it with
You will
other
hear
fans.
it.
Absolutely.
Oh my.
Absolutely. I just don't see how you like people kind of like most teams don't have something like that. So people think it doesn't matter. And that's fine. It doesn't matter if you don't have it. But if you can have something like that, like cheeseheads, if you can have something like cheeseheads, every team wants to have something like that. They just don't. If you can have something like the terrible towels, every team wants it, but it has to happen organically. And this would be happening. You wouldn't have to get the fans to howl. We're talking about when I was on with the full press coverage podcast.
Mm-hmm.
George Carmy, great guy, great show. Check it out. But how with the DC FC thing, DC Football Commanders, and having the stadium go DC FC DC, and I said, look, maybe 30 years from now you'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
get the fans to do that, but you will not get the fans here to do DC FC back and forth for the DC Football Commanders this next season. You would need a full turnover, a pretty large turnover of fans who like who
Yeah.
where the name is just what it is as opposed to being there for the origin. Wolves, you will not have to get people to do it. And the fans that hate it will be doing it if it's a big enough game in a big enough situation. Because once those emotions start going, you stop caring. You don't care how you look or how you sound or how you act. You just do it. Fans are crazy. I just don't see how you pass that up.
But you can have the Wolves mask all over the place.
I mean, just like you did, like one point that I think Chase Hughes made in an article was like simple things like songs, players coming out or whatever songs. There's songs about wolves, hungry like the wolf, and
Mm-hmm.
all that sort of thing. What do you play for the command? I mean, I guess the national anthem. You play the I don't know. Do we salute? After touchdowns? I don't. I just think that the opportunity is just pretty incredible, and I just find it hard to believe that one of the largest, most recognizable, most profitable, valuable NFL franchises in the most valuable sports league in the world would not be able to get a name that they want because of Arkansas State or even the Minnesota in the NBA. So
Right.
now I am done and said way more
I'm
than I
done.
planned to.
I'm done.
But hey, like 20 more days and there won't be no talking about this anymore. And we'll either be talking about how silly this sounded or about how right we were.
Yeah.
It would just feel so good to be right, though, Tate,
It will.
man.
Yeah, it will be.
Oh, it feels so good. I hope we're right.
Feel good. Feel good to have a name.
Yeah, it
Just
will feel good. Stop having to say Washington.
yeah.
Tired of having to say Washington and saying football team on stuff. Yeah.
I wonder why they chose the Today Show though. That's what I'm little
I'm assuming it's because of what's Craig
national
Melvin,
audience.
national audience, and Craig Melvin, and he's like a fan ambassador. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh really?
That's what I think mainly national audience, and then his connection there. Yeah, it is kind of surprising though. I kind of thought that they would maybe just do their own like live stream event.
Yeah, like in the stadium or something.
Yeah, like in the stadium, in like prime time. But
Yeah.
you know,
It's gonna be interesting. I wonder who's gonna be there. Jason, Tanya, Dan, maybe.
I wonder. I don't know if Dan will be there. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Maybe. Well, no, I bet Dan won't be there because he's really not the face of this thing for the time
Yeah.
being. So I feel like
Yeah.
Tanya maybe.
Tanya.
And my thing is how this is uncharted territory. How are they going to unveil it?
I know.
Is Jason going to be there? Are they going to be there, or is it going to be like? Is he going to be here? Is it going to be And then are they going to pull the cloth off of something, or how are they going to say the new name is?
Yeah.
Maybe they're probably going to play a video.
Right.
They're probably going to play a video
Right.
that's going to tease it up until the end.
Yeah.
Gosh, dang it, man.
All right, I'm done.
Yeah. It's time for you to go home. So, all right, we'll find out 20 days, but there are reasons why we think, and maybe we're just programming our mind to believe something because we want to believe it. I don't know, right? Maybe we're biased. Maybe it's there's a term for it. I'll ask my wife, but anyway, we'll talk again about something later. Maybe not name related. So
yeah. Unless we find out something else in the
unless we find out something else, exactly.
shuffle between research late at night.
Yeah. Oh, that's dude. I was up way too late looking at stuff. Names. I don't want to talk about it. This is Todd.
And this is Tay.